When starships fall from desert skies, Maya Chen wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her oil-stained hand, leaving another dark smudge across her already dirty face. The fusion core of the mining hauler hummed with an unhealthy vibration. That made her teeth ache. She'd been working on this piece of junk for 3 days straight, and the corporate overseers were breathing down her neck about the delayed shipment. Just patch it and get it running, Station Chief Bronson had said that morning, his voice thick with irritation. We don't need perfection, Chen. We need results. Maya gritted her teeth as she adjusted the containment field generators. Bronson didn't understand that there was no such thing as just patching a fusion core. One wrong move and half the mining station would become a glowing crater in the desert. But that was typical of the corporate mindset that had dumped her on this backwater colony in the first place. Zerion Prime wasn't exactly the assignment she'd dreamed of when she graduated top of her class from the Terran Engineering Institute. The planet was nothing but endless red sand, scattered mining operations, and a population of roughnecks who thought engineering was just hitting things with bigger hammers until they worked. Maya had been here for 2 years, and every day she felt her skills atrophying in the face of endless patch jobs and quick fixes. The hauler's core finally stabilized, and Maya allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. She'd managed to increase its efficiency by 12% using nothing but salvaged parts and creative rewiring. Not that anyone would notice or care. Tomorrow there would be another broken machine, another impossible deadline, another frustrated supervisor demanding miracles from scrap metal. She was packing up her tools when the ground began to shake. At first, Maya thought it was another mining explosion. The extraction crews were always pushing their equipment beyond safe limits, and cave-ins were common. But this vibration was different, deeper, with a harmonic frequency that seemed to resonate. Through the very bedrock of the planet, the other workers had stopped what they were doing, looking around with confused expressions. Someone pointed toward the eastern horizon, where a dark speck was growing larger against the pale orange sky. Meteor, someone shouted, and suddenly everyone was running for cover. Maya stood transfixed, watching the object descend. It wasn't falling like a meteor would fall, burning and tumbling through the atmosphere. This thing was controlled, decelerating in a spiral pattern that spoke of intelligence and purpose. As it grew closer, she could make out the sleek lines of what was undoubtedly a spacecraft, though unlike any design she'd ever seen. The ship was enormous, easily the size of a small space station, its hull gleaming with an opalescent sheen that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. Strange protrusions extended from its surface, some rotating slowly, others pulsing with soft light. It was beautiful in a way that made Maya's engineer's heart race with excitement. The vessel touched down about 1 kilometer from the mining station, sending up a cloud of red dust that obscured its details. The ground shook again, but gently this time, as if the ship's landing systems were designed to minimize impact. Emergency klaxons wailed across the station as Chief Bronson's voice crackled. Over the CUM system. All personnel to emergency stations. Unknown vessel has landed in Sector 7. Security teams report to the perimeter immediately. Maya ignored the order, grabbing her toolkit and heading for the station's vehicle bay. Whatever that ship was, wherever it had come from, she had to see it up close. The engineer in her demanded answers to a dozen questions that were already forming in her mind. She commandeered one of the mining skiffs, a battered hoverbike designed for quick trips across the desert. The security teams were still organizing themselves, arguing about protocols and authority. when Maya gunned the engine and shot out into the desert toward the mysterious ship. The vessel was even more impressive up close. Its hull seemed to be made of some kind of crystalline material that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. The surface was covered in intricate patterns that might have been decorative or functional. Maya couldn't tell which. Heat shimmer rose from cooling vents that glowed with soft blue light. She was circling the ship's perimeter, looking for what might be an entrance, when a section of the hull suddenly became transparent. Maya jerked the skiff to a stop, her heart hammering as she found herself looking at 3 figures inside the ship. They were tall, easily 2.5 meters in height, with elongated limbs and torsos that seemed almost too thin to support. Their bodies, their skin, if it could be called that, appeared to be made of the same crystalline material as their ship, translucent and shot through with veins of colored light. They moved with a fluid grace that was both alien and strangely hypnotic. One of the figures approached the transparent section of hull, and Maya gasped as she realized it was looking directly at her. Its face was angular, with features that seemed almost carved from living crystal. Where eyes should be, there were clusters of small, multifaceted gems that glowed with inner light. The being placed one elongated hand against the hull, and suddenly Maya could hear a voice in her head. Not words exactly, but concepts and meanings that her brain somehow interpreted as speech. "Greetings, small one. We require assistance. Our vessel is damaged, and we cannot repair it with our current resources. Are you capable of rendering aid?" Maya nearly fell off her skiff. She looked around wildly, checking to see if anyone else was witnessing this impossible conversation. The security teams were still 1/2 kilometer away, moving cautiously across the desert in their heavy vehicles. I'm an engineer," Maya said aloud, feeling slightly foolish for talking to empty air. "I fix things, but I don't know anything about your technology." The being's gem-like eyes seemed to brighten. "You are a manipulator of mechanical systems. This is most fortuitous. We are the Zephyrians, travelers from the distant reaches of the galaxy. I am Admiral Kethvar, commander of the vessel you see before you." "Admiral, so you're military." "We are refugees," Kethvar corrected, and Maya caught an undercurrent of sadness in the mental voice. "Our world is dying, consumed by the expansion of our star. We carry the last survivors of our people, seeking a new home among the stars. But our quantum drive has failed, and we are stranded in this system." Maya's mind raced. Refugees from a dying world, traveling in a ship that represented technology beyond anything humanity had achieved. And they were asking for her help. "I don't understand," she said. "You have all this advanced technology. Surely you have engineers who are far more skilled than I am." "Our technology is indeed advanced," Kethvar acknowledged, "but it is based on principles of perfect order and mathematical precision. The damage to our drive system has created ... irregularities that our methods cannot address. We require someone with experience in improvisation and creative problem-solving." Maya couldn't help but smile. "You need someone who knows how to jury-rig impossible fixes with spare parts and stubbornness. These concepts are unknown to us, but they sound promising." The sound of approaching vehicles made Maya turn. Chief Bronson was leading a convoy of security personnel, their weapons drawn and their expressions grim. Maya knew she had only moments before the situation became a standoff. "I need to go," she said quickly. "My people are coming, and they might not be as friendly as I am." "Will you return?" Kethvar asked. "Will you help us?" Maya looked at the magnificent alien ship, thinking of the thousands of refugees inside, homeless and stranded light years from anywhere. She thought of her own situation, trapped on a backwater colony, her talents wasted on endless repair jobs for ungrateful supervisors. "Yes," she said, "I'll help you." The hole became opaque again just as Chief Bronson's convoy reached her position. The security chief's face was red with anger as he climbed out of his vehicle. "Chen, what the hell do you think you're doing? This is a first contact situation. We have protocols." "The protocols can wait," Maya said, gesturing toward the ship. "They need help. Their ship is damaged, and they're refugees from a dying world." "How could you possibly know that? You've been here for what, 10 minutes? "They told me," Maya said. Simply, Bronson's expression shifted from anger to disbelief. "They told you. You're claiming you can communicate with them." "One of them, yes, an admiral named Kethvar. They have some kind of telepathic communication ability. This is way above your pay grade, Chen. Get back to the station and let the professionals handle this." Maya looked at the ship again, then back at Bronson. "What professionals? We're a mining colony in the middle of nowhere. The nearest military installation is 6 months away by standard drive. By the time any professionals get here, these people could be dead." "Not our problem," Bronson said flatly. "We're not equipped to deal with aliens, friendly or otherwise." "But I am," Maya insisted. "I'm an engineer. I fix things. That's what they need." Before Bronson could respond, the ship's hull became transparent again. This time, Kethvar was joined by 2 other Zephyrians, one of whom wore what appeared to be more elaborate crystalline formations around its head and shoulders. "Greetings, inhabitants of this world," the new voice said in Maya's mind, and she realized the others could hear it too, based on their shocked expressions. "I am Consul Zaranese, diplomatic representative of the Zephyrian Collective. We come in peace, seeking only assistance with our damaged vessel." Chief Bronson's jaw worked silently for several seconds before he managed to speak. "You, ... You're really talking to us. Indeed. We require the services of your engineer, the one called Maya Chen. Our quantum drive has suffered critical damage, and our own repair methods have proven insufficient. Our engineer," Bronson looked at Maya with new eyes. "You want her specifically?" "Her reputation for innovative solutions precedes her," Consul Zaranese replied. "We have observed her work from orbit. The modifications she made to your fusion hauler were most impressive." Maya felt a flush of pride. Someone had actually noticed her work, even if it was an alien from across the galaxy. "I need to see the damage," Maya said, stepping forward. "I can't promise I can fix it, but I can at least take a look." "Maya, this is insane," Bronson protested. "We don't know anything about these aliens or their technology. You could be walking into a trap. Or I could be walking into the greatest engineering challenge of my career," Maya countered. "Either way, I'm going to find out." The section of hull dilated open like an iris, revealing a corridor that glowed with soft, multicolored light. Kethvar gestured for her to enter, and Maya took a deep breath before stepping across the threshold into the alien ship. The interior was even more beautiful than the exterior. The walls seemed to be alive with flowing patterns of light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The air had a faint metallic taste and smelled of ozone and something else she couldn't identify. Everything was sized for beings much taller than humans, but the corridors were wide enough that Maya didn't feel claustrophobic. Kethvar led her through a maze of passages that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Maya realized that the ship itself was probably partially organic, its structure adapting to the needs of its inhabitants. The engineering implications were staggering. They entered a vast chamber that could only be the engine room. The quantum drive dominated the center of the space, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with unstable energy. Maya could immediately see the problem: massive cracks running through several of the primary resonance chambers, their edges glowing with an angry red light. The damage occurred when we attempted to make an emergency jump, Kethvar explained. The quantum field collapsed partially, creating feedback that shattered the crystalline matrix. Our engineers have been unable to repair the fractures. Maya circled the drive, her trained eye cataloging the damage. It was extensive, but not necessarily fatal. The problem was that the Zephyrians seemed to think in terms of perfect replacement rather than creative repair. "Have you tried bridging the fractures instead of trying to seal them?" she asked. "Bridging? We do not understand this concept." Maya grinned, feeling the familiar thrill of a challenging problem. "Let me show you what human engineering can do." *Human. Ingenuity meets alien desperation. Maya spent the next 6 hours studying the quantum drive, her mind racing as she began to understand the principles behind its operation. The Zephyrians' technology was based on achieving perfect mathematical harmony, using crystalline matrices to channel and focus quantum energy with incredible precision. It was elegant, beautiful, and completely alien to human engineering philosophy. "Your people create perfect systems," Maya said to Kethvar, as she examined the fractures more closely. "Every component is designed to work in exact harmony with every other component. It's like a symphony where every note has to be perfectly in tune." "This is correct," Kethvar confirmed. "Harmony and precision are the foundations of all Zephyrian technology. Imperfection leads to chaos and failure." But that's exactly the problem, Maya realized. When something breaks, your systems can't adapt. They can't compensate for the damage because they're too perfect. She pulled out her toolkit, selecting a small device that looked like a cross between a medical scanner and a welding torch. The Zephyrian engineers who had gathered to watch her work stepped back nervously. "What are you doing?" asked Veltar, the ship's chief engineer. "That device appears to be crude and imprecise." "That's the point," Maya said, beginning to work on the first fracture. Human technology isn't about perfection. It's about adaptation. We build systems that can tolerate imperfection, that can keep working even when things go wrong. She began to lay down a network of metallic threads across the fractures, using materials from her toolkit that were primitive compared to the Zephyrian crystals, but which had properties the aliens had never considered. The threads were deliberately imperfect, with tiny variations in thickness and composition that would have horrified a Zephyrian engineer. "This will never work," Veltar said, his mental voice tight with anxiety. "The quantum field requires perfect resonance. These imperfections will cause harmonics that will tear the entire system apart." "Maybe," Maya admitted, continuing her work. "Or maybe they'll give the system the flexibility it needs to handle the damage." As she worked, Maya began to explain her philosophy to the gathered Zephyrians. Human engineering, she told them, was based on the principle of controlled chaos. Human systems were designed to be imperfect, to have redundancies and tolerances that allowed them to adapt to changing conditions. "Your fusion reactors, for example," she said, gesturing toward her toolkit. "They don't achieve perfect fusion like your quantum drive achieves perfect harmony. They're messy, inefficient, and they require constant adjustment. But they're also incredibly resilient. You can jury-rig them with spare parts, run them at different power levels, even operate them with significant damage to their systems. This sounds like a recipe for disaster, Consul Zaranese observed. How do you prevent catastrophic failures? We don't, Maya said with a grin. We expect them, we plan for them. We build our systems to fail gracefully, so that when something goes wrong, the damage is contained and the system can be repaired. She had completed the bridge network across the primary fractures and was now working on the secondary damage. The metallic threads glowed softly as they interfaced with the crystalline matrix, creating a hybrid system that was part Zephyrian perfection and part human improvisation. The quantum field is beginning to stabilize, Veltar reported, his voice filled with amazement. The harmonics are chaotic, but they are not destructive. How is this possible? Because chaos isn't the enemy of order, Maya explained. It's order's dance partner. They need each other to create something beautiful. She activated the final connections, and the quantum drive began to hum with renewed energy. The angry red glow of the fractures faded, replaced by the soft blue-white light of a stable quantum field. The Zephyrian engineers began to emit a harmonious sound that Maya realized was their expression of joy and amazement. It works, Kethvar said, his mental voice filled with wonder. The drive is functional again. But how long will these repairs last? That depends, Maya said, packing up her tools. If you treat them like perfect Zephyrian technology, they'll probably fail within a few months. But if you learn to maintain them like human technology, constantly tweaking and adjusting and jury-rigging, they could last for decades. She turned to face the assembled Zephyrians. That's what you really need to learn from us. Not just how to make repairs, but how to think about technology differently. How to embrace imperfection as a tool rather than fear it as a threat. Over the following days, Maya worked with the Zephyrian engineers to understand the principles behind human engineering. She taught them about redundancy and tolerance, about the art of the jury-rig and the philosophy of controlled chaos. In return, they shared their knowledge of quantum mechanics and crystalline technology. The collaboration was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced. The Zephyrians' perfect understanding of mathematical principles, combined with human creativity and adaptability, produced innovations that neither species could have achieved alone. They developed new alloys that were both crystalline and metallic, new energy systems that were both precise and flexible. Chief Bronson and the other colonists watched in amazement as the impossible partnership between human and alien engineers produced miracle after miracle. The mining station's equipment was upgraded with hybrid technology that was more efficient, more reliable, and easier to maintain than anything they had ever used. But the real breakthrough came when Maya realized that the Zephyrians' quantum drive could be modified to work with human navigation systems. The result was a hybrid drive that could travel faster than any human ship, but with the reliability and maintainability that human crews required. You have given us more than just repairs, Admiral Kethvar said as the Zephyrian ship prepared to depart. You have given us a new way of thinking about technology, about adaptation and survival. And you've given me something too, Maya replied. The chance to work on the greatest engineering challenge of my career. Will you come with us, Consul? Zaranese asked. We are heading to the galactic core, where we hope to establish a new colony. Your skills would be invaluable to our people. Maya looked at the magnificent alien ship, then back at the mining station where she had spent 2 frustrating years. The choice should have been easy, but she found herself thinking about the other engineers and mechanics scattered across human space. People like her who were stuck in dead-end jobs, their talents wasted on mundane repairs. "I appreciate the offer," she said finally, "but I think I'm needed here. There are probably other ships out there that need the kind of help only a human engineer can provide." "Then we will spread the word," Kethvar promised. "Throughout the galaxy, beings will know of Maya Chen, the human engineer who taught the Zephyrians how to embrace imperfection." As the alien ship lifted off, its quantum drive humming with the perfect imperfection of human Zephyrian engineering, Maya felt a deep satisfaction. She had found her calling, not just as an engineer, but as a bridge between species, a translator of technologies and philosophies. Within months, her reputation had spread across the galaxy. Ships of a dozen different species began arriving. At Zarian Prime, their crews seeking the human engineer who could solve impossible problems with creativity and stubbornness. Maya found herself at the center of a new kind of diplomatic mission, one based not on politics or trade, but on the universal language of engineering. The mining station was transformed into a hub of interspecies cooperation, with human engineers working alongside alien technicians to solve problems that neither could handle alone. Maya established the first human-alien engineering exchange, a program that would eventually spread to hundreds of worlds. And in the depths of space, a Zephyrian ship traveled toward the galactic core, its quantum drive running smoothly thanks to the perfectly imperfect repairs of a human engineer, who had learned that sometimes the best solutions come from embracing chaos rather than fighting it. Maya Chen had started as just another frustrated engineer on a backwater colony, but she had become something more, a symbol of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to improvise, and to find solutions where others saw only problems. In a galaxy full of species with perfect technologies and rigid thinking, humans had found their niche as the ultimate problem solvers, the ones who could make anything work, no matter how impossible it seemed. The quantum drive hummed with its chaotic harmony, and Maya smiled as she began work on her next impossible repair. After all, that's what humans did best.